Thank you, Forrest. Good morning, JM&A. It seems like just yesterday when we were all together in Austin, Texas. Boy, time flies when you're having fun and breaking records. We had 5 record months last year, 3 in the last quarter. What great momentum to carry into 2020. We finished the year coming within 4,918 contracts of our all-time record. In spite of what the record books say, in my opinion, 2019 was our best year ever, especially when you consider all the obstacles we had to overcome. We really appreciate all of your hard work and dedication. Congratulations again on a fantastic year. Give yourselves a round of applause. We have a big year ahead of us. As Forrest mentioned, 3.5 million. And I know that you're going to deliver a much higher number than that. I'm excited for 2020 because we've been able to expand our core offering. We introduced the Flex model last year, and I'm happy to report that we've been able to save several very important accounts. Some are already contemplating coming back to a full-service relationship. Through our Project Rocket initiative, we're now going to offer single-point highline in independent used car dealers. In addition, the same team is actively working on launching our Dealer Talent Solutions offering. And that's something that's going to help dealers when it comes to creating a culture of success. Our fixed operations consulting team, they have a number of new prospects, and they have put a lot of work into their plan. Early results look very promising. All of these efforts have better positioned us to grow and achieve our objective for 2020. We know the industry is changing. We have to adapt. We have to better align our offering to serve our dealers' needs. We've excelled at that for over 40 years. I'm excited because this is what we do. This is who we are. Some examples of us adapting is the creation of Blueprint, Sales Connect, and most recently our Flex model. Last month at the zone rollout meetings, I shared my thoughts on how In Pursuit is really a year-long focus for all of us and how we must continually learn and improve. I talked a lot about the learning loop. As a refresher for those of you who are there, and for the benefit of those who are not, the learning loop is a 4-step continuous process. It starts with self-assessment, knowing what you're really good at and understanding what your opportunities are. Most importantly, being willing to change. Once you've established where your areas of strengths and opportunities are, you then develop a strategy, a plan of action to reach your objectives. Okay, you've done your self-assessment, you've built your strategy, what's next? Execution. Execution of that strategy is putting your plan into motion. And finally, your commitment. Dedicating yourself to learning throughout the process and having the perseverance to overcome the challenges that you're going to face. That's been our success formula for decades. The learning part comes in because it's a perpetual cycle. We're always reevaluating where we are in the process. We're always going through these stages and asking ourselves, is the strategy aligned with our dealers' and companies' goals? Are we executing properly? And are we learning? This is so important because our external pressures that we're facing today in our industry are greater than ever. We know the industry is leveling off. And whether it's a former associate, parasites multiplying, new players in the auto space, or technologies in the market, there's always going to be disruption. I can go on and on. You see this every day. You know what I'm talking about. For all these reasons, it's so important that more so than ever that we evaluate and adjust our plan. As Forrest mentioned, we decided to follow our own process and put together a self-assessment. He shared a few findings. I'd like to share a few more. Last year, we had a record in straight-line contracts. We reached 110% of our acquisition objective. We had record performance with our Hendrick and Sonic relationships at nearly $1,500 gross PVR in Hendrick and over $1,400 net PVR in Sonic. To give you some perspective, when we started our relationship with Hendrick, they were at 1,059 PVR. This is our value proposition, hard at work. We launched flex and basic levels of service to complement our full service offering. And we expanded our virtual F&I offer. You all deserve a lot of credit for these results. Give yourselves a hand. Additionally, when you look at JM&A's reputation in the market, we're the industry leader. Companies aspire to be like us. As part of the Bain engagement, they spent time evaluating the competitive landscape and talked to dealers to determine JM&A's Net Promoter Score. Now you wonder, what is Net Promoter Score? Which is basically dealers' response to one single question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend JM&A? 43% of our dealers rated us a 9 or a 10. That is well above our competitors. Why? Because the difference you make in delivering our value proposition every day. Thank you for taking such great care of our dealer customers. So let's look at the other side of the coin. 57% of our customers rated us 8 or below. I think you'd agree there's a lot of opportunity for us to grow and gain market share. This is the time that really good companies reevaluate and adjust their strategy to stay relevant and improve. Okay, we're going to play a little game. It's the year 2010, and each of us has $1,000 to invest in. The key is, which company do you choose to invest in? Choose one of the companies on the screen. Everybody have one in mind? Okay. Let's show hands as to who chose Facebook. See a couple hands out there for Facebook. Okay, how about Tesla? A few more. All right. Before I ask about Amazon, let me just mention to you, Amazon last week announced that they exceeded the $1 trillion level in their market cap, which is a valuation of their business. How about Amazon? I knew I'd get that kind of response. Apple. All right. Which one of you chose Domino's Pizza? I see 1 or 2 hands out there. For those of you who chose Domino's, your $1,000 investment would be worth over $34,000 today. I can't help myself. That's a lot of dough. Believe it or not, Domino's has outperformed all of these innovative, disruptive tech giants. Pretty amazing, right? So the question is, why? People have been making pizzas for well over 100 years. Domino's is a mature company, and it's outperforming all of those other giants. There's nothing techie about making pizza. Dough, cheese, sauce, delivery dudes and dudettes. But they asked themselves, do we make pizzas? Or do we satisfy customers' needs? They recognized that the business they were in was changing and took a focus on the customer experience and the value that they deliver. They then set out to modernize their business. In 2010, 0% of their sales were online. In 2019, Domino's generated 65% of their sales through digital channels. That's pretty cool. And that's the world we live in. Our customers expect more. We expect more. And that's why we have to self-assess and make changes needed to stay relevant. And that's exactly what we're doing. No matter how good we are, we can always get better. For example, our current market penetration is approximately 12%. However, we don't often talk about how much is still out there. We have 88% of the market still available to us. Remember when I said that we need to focus on our opportunities? This is what I was talking about. Let me show you another example. This digital diagram shows our decreasing rate of acquisition growth. This is a true opportunity. And we know about renegotiations and the impact it has on our business due to the dealers fighting front-end compression. Every morning, field support, operations, accounting, product development, and sales have a meeting to review deals. Over the last couple of years, 80% of the deals we look at are renegotiations. Last year alone, our top 10 renegotiations cost JM&A over $15 million. We understand that it's a necessary part of our business. If we're not willing to renegotiate, we could lose the business. And I don't want to lose any deal. The only option is to grow at a faster rate. We can look across the entire country and see tremendous opportunity. We have to ask ourselves, given the hard work that we put in every day, why haven't we seen more market growth? And how do we grow it? I want to see market penetration grow as we continue to set records in profit-weighted volume. If you ask me what I'm in pursuit of, it's figuring out what we need to do differently and how. We're all stakeholders in this process, and we want to hear from everyone. You, our Deerfield and St. Louis associates, the end consumer, and of course our dealer customers. We're often accused of over-surveying you, but make no mistake, your voice is one of the most important we listen to, and even more valuable as we continue to grow and evolve. We applied that same approach to some of our dealers, and we went out and asked them what they were in pursuit of, just to make sure that we're aligned with their efforts and needs. They shared their insights and their expectations, and I want you to hear from a few of them. After the video, I'm going to ask Scott Gunnell to join me on stage. As you know, one of Scott's new areas of responsibility is our company's overall strategy. Together, we'll discuss the dealer's thoughts, directionally where the industry is going, and how JM&A will continue to drive dealer performance. Let's take a look.
You know, we're in pursuit of many initiatives to improve our business this year, but just everything we do has to have some kind of tie to retention. Retention is our top priority, whether it's with our employees or our customers.
In 2020, we're in pursuit of operational efficiency. To really improve that and make sure that our team understands we have an evolving retail environment, and we have to really be on our game to make sure that we deliver the type of customer experiences that are really efficient for them.
So what we're in pursuit of is really an outstanding guest experience. And we believe that if we follow the processes that we know, if we follow the process that we train to, and really stay focused on the guest, we are going to have an outstanding 2020.
In 2020, we're in pursuit of the guest experience. We believe the only differentiator we have is the level of service that we offer our guests. To us, that means it has to start internally before it can go external. So that's through training, incentives, and certainly hiring people that are there to serve people.
In 2020, Paragon is in pursuit of simplicity. You know, we have so many different vendor partners with good intentions that over the years, like barnacles on the bottom of a boat that just get added to the DMS, you know, that $1,500 to $2,000 per month transaction. And when we looked at that, those partners are not integrating well. That's causing some friction for our customers. So this year, we're going to streamline. We're going to pick the partners we think are best suited to help us go into the future, to take some of the friction out of the transaction, to help us in our pursuit of the frictionless transaction.
I would describe the dealership of the future is omni-channel approach. Digital online process and proper integration with brick and mortar. It really has to balance well, and it has to engage the consumer at a level they want.
How I would describe the dealership of the future and its top priorities is making it fast, making it easy for the guest. Everybody's buying everything from their phone, so we have to think about that and take that into account.
As we think about the dealership of the future, the skill sets that are needed are not the same skill sets we have today. The skill set's going to require both extensive training and knowledge, product knowledge, process knowledge, but it's really going to require a flexibility so that as guests have needs, we're filling those needs.
The dealership of the future is going to take into consideration that consumers demand today shared control of the process. You look at a company like Peloton, right? I can pick the instructor I want, I can pick the genre of the music, I can pick the intensity, the length of the class. I'm in control. I can pick when I take the class. And I think as a dealership, we look at that, or we look at the Netflix, or we look at Amazon, and more customers are in control. So rather than trying to keep the control, I think if we can share the control in the process and let the customers decide how and when they want to do business with us, and then to make sure that we're there for the customer on their terms.
You know, I think there's a lot of theories about the dealership of the future out there, especially with all the talk of autonomous cars and things like that. Our view is if we just stay focused on people and process and building loyalty internally and externally, we will continue to do very well.
The dealership of the future, to me, as I see it, is one that has to have great experiences delivered in a way that the customer sees that fits them best. In an omni-channel way. In other words, you can deliver that experience to that customer, whatever their mobility needs may be, in a way that fits them.
We're no longer selling and servicing new and used vehicles, but we're providing transportation whenever, wherever, and however consumers want to consume that.
You know, I think long-term, our greatest opportunity for growth in our business is on the fixed operations side of the business and service and parts, and finding ways to capitalize on our resources to be able to grow market share.
So I think growth opportunities long-term is definitely F&I.
Amazon is always thinking about how they can serve better, faster, less expensive. And as businesses, we need to do the same thing.
People are asking me what keeps me up at night, and is there anything keeping me up? And the answer is everything is keeping me up at night. I have no idea where this is going, so to be agile, I think, is incredibly important.
Everyone has areas of opportunities I've learned in my life. It'd be nice to see JM&A get involved in technology and find a way to solve the F&I puzzle online.
If they can continue to keep us challenged and providing us with new information, new training, new development to keep us current with things going on in the industry, that'll really help us.
Everybody knows that the future is going to be decided at the point of contact. The point of contact's changing. The point of contact used to be in the showroom. The point of contact now is on the other end of a cell phone. How do we enhance that point of contact, that experience, and maintain profitability?
Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Mike.
I
Morning, JM&A.
I got to have you stand up for a second. How's Scott look?
This reminds
Now, does he look kind of like, you know what you're missing? Here.
this
There,
reminds
you'll have
me
better.
of the early '90s Gatorade commercial. If I could be like Mike, I want to be like Mike, right?
Have a seat. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to kind of join us and join me and sharing some thoughts. And I really kind of was impressed with some of those dealers.
Yeah, I will tell you the preparation for this discussion was a little different than me having to learn how to fake play the piano. So I'm excited. I'm ready to move
And
on.
the hat and glasses.
Yeah. So, Mike, the video.
Are we getting serious?
Yeah, we got to get serious.
Okay, we're
now.
going to be serious now.
Yeah. So, what was your takeaway from the video? You heard a lot of different dealers, high-powered dealers across the country, a lot of consistency in themes, and I'm curious to hear what your perspective.
Well, I got to say, the first thing that I noticed was the dealers' willingness and passion about the future and willingness to participate in giving us their input and feedback on what they look for and what they need from a partner. And I truly appreciate the dealers' perspective and most importantly, the partnership. That to me comes to mind first. I will say that there were some words that they used that I thought were consistent. And I find it interesting, and the audience might not know this, but those dealers, they're from coast to coast. We had dealers from South Florida, New Jersey, New York, Las Vegas. We had them from Atlanta, everywhere. And some of them don't even know each other, yet they're using the same terminology, they're using the same, they have the same challenges, the same needs, and some of the words I heard were retention. Customer experience, I think, came up multiple times. Omni-channel came up multiple times. Simplicity. And so when I look at that, it really tells me the dealers are looking for an alignment with their needs and who they choose to do business with.
Yeah, I would say the videos excited me for our position and how we can support them in the future. And I think you heard from each one of them, they're very bullish that we play a big role of supporting them in the future. And that lends me to my next thought. You're in your 36th year with this company.
What?
Yeah. That happens to be double his soul age, by the way. So you've seen a lot of stuff. You've seen stuff come and go. I'm curious, where's your head at when you look down the path of the future for the Future 40?
Well, I want to go back to, first of all, when I think about being with the company 36 years, it doesn't feel that way because we're constantly reinventing the company. So it feels very new to me all the time. The part about soul age, and to be serious, and a lot of you might not know what soul age is referenced to, it's really about your mindset. It's how you approach things. It's the way you see life. And Scott's right. My soul age is 18. Now, some people would argue that I'm immature, but the reality of it is that I've always prided myself in looking at things with a new lens, to always be looking at the opportunity and ahead. I don't really find it really helpful for me to spend a lot of time thinking about the things in the past. But I will say, the more that things change, the more they stay the same. And what brings to mind is Mr. Moran and his philosophy. And I distinctly remember when I first came to work for him, one of the things that he impressed on all of us was the importance to really help the dealer be successful. And if we make the dealer successful, we can't help but be successful. So I really feel as though that is the key. The other part is it's not so much about, we've changed a lot, but the one constant is our value proposition has always remained. We always focus on the dealer's performance, and I think that that's really the key.
Yeah, it's obvious when you watch the video and the theme of this discussion that the future is going to look different, and it's going to look potentially different in how we execute from today. One of the things I've always admired about you, and I know Forrest mentioned you're one of the hardest workers, and I would echo that sentiment. And as a sales leader, you're very open-minded. One could be defensive. I've interacted with many leaders in the past that when they adopt a strategy and own it, they become defensive to that strategy. And when there's a need for the strategy to change, they might hold on to the past just because they're trying to preserve their ego. And you don't do that. And 36 years with the company, through all the changes you've been through, I think that's an admirable trait we could all learn from. And I'm curious, how do you maintain that egoless, open mind to prepare us for the future?
Well, I always see the opportunity to improve. And it would be easy to get caught up in being part of the authorship of a project or a process, but the reality is the goal that we're trying to accomplish is to get better and to grow the business and to make the dealers successful and for us to have a better quality of life and to do all of us do better. If you get too caught up in the past or how you've always done it, it prevents you from being able to be open-minded. And I really feel as though part of it is my self-assessment that I go through on a regular basis. I do that not just annually, but I do it almost every morning where I sit down and I look at my affirmations. And I talked a little bit about it last year. I think that one of the most important things for me to understand is that I represent all of you. And the fact that I represent you, I have to make sure that if I'm going to ask you to do something, that I do it too. And so to me, that's probably one of the drivers to always having that open mind, always thinking about what's next, what can we do differently.
And I could tell you from my vantage point, we certainly appreciate that, because knowing there's not going to be resistance to the thought of change takes a lot of the burden off of us, so we can really talk about what needs to change. And I think that's probably a nice transition point to, where do you see the need for change in the future? Where do you see, based on everything that's been discussed today, what needs to ultimately be addressed to position ourselves for the most amount of success in the future?
Well, I mentioned one of the things that our value proposition hasn't changed. How we deliver that value proposition, I believe, is going to change significantly. The needs of the dealer are different today. The emphasis on the services that we provide are much greater. The demands from the dealers are going to continue to ratchet up. And I feel like we have to really go to market with different solutions. One of the things that come to mind is that we've always practiced a generalist approach. What I mean by that is we ask the field to perform all of these duties. And I know that at times we don't maybe acknowledge all the work that goes into it, but I'm very mindful of the fact that we're asking reps to be lead generators, acquisition artists, account development or relationship managers, and the last one is probably administrative tasks. In the future, I'm not sure that really is going to serve our purpose the way it has in the past. I think that we're going to have to look at that differently. I think we really need to do a better job of aligning somebody's skill set with that role of responsibility. And that's, I think, the change that will probably take place the soonest, or the most important area that we can address the market. We want to improve the quality of your jobs as much as we do have success with the company, because if you're successful, then again, the company will be successful.
I think that's a great synopsis. I think that's a great foundation to build on that the team will hear more about as we continue through this morning. I can tell you I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm in a new role, and you and I have worked very closely together for the last 10 years. And now my role spans some different responsibilities, but what's most important is the synergy between the sales organization, the office, and how we come together and ultimately to execute a plan for the future. And I think we're ripe for it. So I'm excited about what we have and what we as a broader audience have to come in the future as we tackle the Future 40.
There's no doubt that in order for us to be successful, wildly successful, it's going to take everybody working together. And that includes operations, accounting, field sales, our field service team. Every associate has to be kind of moving in the same direction. I really believe we could sit here and talk about this all day. But maybe this would be a great time for me to kind of leave you to share with the group how we're going to do it, because I think that's just as equally as important as the other things that we've talked about. So why don't I leave you up before we go?
So when Mike first approached me about the thought of this discussion, it was a little bit intriguing to think that you and I are going to have a private discussion with 650 of our closest friends paying attention. I'd like to think it worked pretty well. What do you all think?
Thanks.